A big part of the indoor cricket game actually takes place before the match starts. How do we prepare both our mind and body for the all-important contest? In today's masterclass, we have former New Zealand indoor cricket captain Victor Davies, who is going to take us through the basics and vitals of being actually ready for a match. So get your notebooks out and get ready, because it's time to be a pro.
Alright, so we have Victor Davies with a very interesting masterclass. It's all about getting yourself prepared for the big match day. Hi Victor Davies, how are you doing?
Very good, thank you.
Alright, okay, so former New Zealand captain, an all-round star, but the basics remain the same, warming up and cooling down, so that you get your body ready for any match day possible. Take us through it.
Yeah, well, I think regardless of whatever level you're playing, you want to be performing at your best. And performing at your best means doing the little 1%ers right. And that's warming up. And when we think warming up, people think usually physically. And yes, that plays a massive part. But it's also mentally. It's switching on mentally, physically, and getting your central nervous system to fire. Like indoor cricket is such a high intensity, high octane sport where it really does demand a lot of your central nervous system. You have to switch on mentally, emotionally as well. So what you need to be doing is, before you start a game, is getting your head in the right headspace. So you want to be figuring out, okay, am I warm? Am my muscles warm? Yes, number one, okay? But number two, am I switched on? Because it's all about reactionary stuff, right? Whether you're batting, whether you're fielding. So there's a lot of reactionary stuff. So mentally, you have to get into the right headspace. For me personally, and I know for a lot of the players here that are, at that high level, a lot of them, it's about the mental side. The mental side is what separates, I guess, a good player from a great player. So for me personally, it's about visualization. I like to go through my innings, I like to go through my game before I've even played it. So then when you get into a game situation, it doesn't feel foreign. Another thing that I'm really big on is being able to train in a way that makes you feel uncomfortable. So then when you get into a situation in a game, you feel like you've been there already. So when we talk about intention with training, like we're doing the fielding drills with Fitzy, you have those training sessions where you're trying to master skills, but then once you have those sessions, there's also, for me, an element where you want to train to a point where you feel uncomfortable. So it might be doing some sprints before you bat, doing some sprints before you bowl. So that way you're pumped, your heart rate is elevated, and you have to be making decisions when you're tired. Because ultimately at the end of a tournament or a big game, when there's high stress or there's or a lot of energy has been exerted, you'll have to make decisions when you're fatigued. So the more you can train that, the better you'll be in big game situations or at the end of the tournament.
All right. So in your opinion, what are the top 3 drills? And I'm mentioning top 3 drills in particular because the indoor cricket in one way differs from the outdoor cricket because the time is so short, right? 15-20 minutes to prepare, half an hour at max. 3 top drills, which would those be? You get those muscle memories in place, you get that body really warmed up.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things you can look at, but I think the biggest thing, one, I think it's preparation. If you break down before the game, during the game, and after the game, so preparation before the game, you want to make sure that you don't want to be rushing around. Of course. You want to be relatively relaxed, all right? For some people, they're a bit more tense. For some people, they're a lot more relaxed. It's trying to find what works for you, what gets you into the best headspace. So hydration is one. So especially in humid conditions or like warm conditions like we are in Dubai, you want to make sure that you're well hydrated. So making sure that your pee is clear, that's a really good indication, right? If your pee isn't clear, it's yellow, then you're already dehydrated, so you're playing catch up. So that's one big thing. Water. Like, can't emphasize it enough. Getting fluid in as much as you can. Food, obviously, maybe 2 hour and a half beforehand, making sure you're eating food, complex carbohydrates, some protein, something that's really going to sustain you and give you slow releasing energy through the course of a game. If we're talking specific format, obviously 16 over indoor cricket, high intensity, 8 over indoor cricket.
Double intensity.
Even more high intensity,
yeah, of course.
Right? So I guess the emotions are high, the energy levels is more demanding. So yeah, so hydration, nutrition, and I guess during a game, same thing, hydration. You've got to keep those hydration levels up. In terms of preparation, physically when you come into a game, warming up, mobility. So it's getting your muscles to fire. It's not just doing a few lengths and getting warm, because in a climate like this, it doesn't take much for us to warm up, right? Yeah. So it's about mobility. It's about getting your muscles to fire. So you think you want to be doing something dynamic to start with. So trying to get your central nervous system and your muscles to fire at the same time. So something quite explosive, like a broad jump or a broad jump or an explosive vertical jump, or something very dynamic, or sprinting really quick. So that way we get the central nervous system to fire. So we get the mind and we get the body to fire and it's aligned, then we feel a bit more switched on. So it's not a matter of just walking into a court or walking into an arena, bowl a few balls into the net, kind of hit a few balls. You want to get yourself eventually switched on. So like I said, getting the mind, getting the body aligned and getting them both switched on puts you in a really good stead for the game.
Right, so coincidentally, we are just in time to warm up for the Karak Premier League Season 5.0. The matches are just about to start in around 45 minutes, and this is the perfect time to warm up, as you just said. Let's take the viewers to your top 5 drills, as a matter of fact, and see how it goes.
So for me, for this masterclass, what we're going to do is, like I mentioned, we're not just going to warm up physically getting the blood flowing, because that'll happen naturally as you start to do this. But what we're going to look at doing is mobility and getting your muscles to fire, so specifically. So what we're going to look at doing is going to work from the lower body all the way up. So to start with, I'm going to start working on my calf muscles. So from here, we're just going to walk out your calves. So we're getting your calves to fire. And notice I'm doing it in a dynamic motion. Okay, I'm not doing too much static stretching. Then what we're going to do is going to focus on your hamstrings. There's a number of ways in which you can get the hamstrings to fire. But what I like to do is I like to get them isolated. So I like to go single leg and just hold briefly for 10 seconds. And then once you've done that, you can go up and down. So you're getting the glutes and the hamstrings to fire. Then what you might do is you might go into double leg glute bridges. Once again, you're getting your glutes to fire. So what we're doing is we're trying to work from the lower body all the way up. So once you start getting your glutes to fire, keep in mind that's the biggest muscle group in your body. So if we get them to fire, what also happens is your core starts to switch on. So we've got calves, hamstrings, glutes. Now we're going to try and get your core to fire. Now keep in mind in indoor cricket, we do a lot of rotational work. Okay, so what we're going to look at doing here is we're going to get into a side plank and we're just going to rotate like so, opening up, because like I mentioned, we do a lot of rotation in indoor cricket. Then we're going to move on to lower back. So from here, lying on your back, swinging your leg across, working and loosening up your lumbar spine. Then what you can also do is go onto your front and a very similar thing. And then because we're doing a lot of throwing, we want to really focus on getting your shoulders to warm up. So like I say, it's not just throwing. We want to get those shoulder blades retracted. We want to get your rotator cuffs warmed up. So I like to go down, forehead on the ground and into a Y position. Thumbs pointing up to the ceiling and going about 15 to 20 of them. And then we can go into a T position, same thing. And then what I like to call here, so you get into a forward lunge position, try and get your forearm onto the ground, and then we're going to rotate upwards like so. We go 8 to 10 each side, and then you'll swap it over. So if you kind of did that drill, that takes maybe about 10 minutes of mobilization. Like I'm already sweating because of how warm it is in Dubai, but regardless of where you are in the world, regardless of how warm the center is, doing those mobility drills will help get you physically prepared for the game. So then from there, you'd go into some drill stuff. You might do a few more sprints as well, so a few more short, sharp stuff. You also might do some explosive work to, like I say, try and get the central nervous system to fire. Get the mind, get the body aligned, get them both firing, then we're ready. Then you're probably going to get into some drill stuff. So it might be some reactionary stuff. Someone might be throwing you the ball, you're just watching the ball in hand and feeding it back. So what we're trying to do now is really get some reactionary stuff once the body and the mind, the central nervous system is switched on. So that way, it's going to be a bit more intentional behind there's going to be a bit more intention behind what you're doing in your warm up. So we don't just rock up to a game and expect to do well. Tick all those boxes, because that's going to put you in good stead to be ready to perform at your best. Because at whatever level you're playing, you're looking at the best way to get the most out of your performance. And it's those little 1% that make a massive difference. So if we're working backwards and you look at the game as a whole, indoor cricket, how fast-paced, how dynamic it is, and you really kind of break down the elements of what's required. Yes, there's a lot that is required, but if you break them down, you've got explosive movements, you've got short, sharp movements where you're sprinting between the wickets, right? So it's a small break and then a short burst of energy, right? Or a short, I guess, intensive, dynamic movement like a sprint. So what you want to be doing, whether you're practicing or you're trying to get fitter for the season, leading up into a tournament, what I would suggest is doing that, trying to replicate the movements that you would be doing in a game situation, right? So let's say, for example, say we're running between the wickets here. So what you would look at doing is going from here to the opposite non-striker's end and back. Maybe do that, there and back 4 times. So that's a total of 4 lengths. Have a little rest for 10 seconds and replicate that. All right, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna go there and back 4 times as quick as we can. We're gonna rest for, let's say, 30 seconds, and then we're gonna go again. Now keep in mind, I'm kind of throwing those numbers out there, but what we're trying to do is replicate high intensity and then a rest. High intensity and then a rest, because that replicates what the intensity is like in an indoor cricket game, especially when you're playing at a high level or an 8-over format like this. So off we go, 3, 2, 1, and we're off. So what we'll do now, we'll have a break for about 30 seconds, and then you'll repeat that. So depending on your fitness level, what you want to try and do is slowly start to increase how many repetitions you do. All right, so let's go 4, rest for 30 seconds, and then see if you can do that 6 times. When you get fitter, do it 8 times, do it 10 times. Okay, so that's one way to increase your specific fitness for indoor cricket. So another thing in indoor cricket, regardless of the format, whether it's 8 over, whether it's 16 over, you're going to be doing a lot of lateral movement, right? Whether you're backing up at the crease, moving laterally, and then to get back into the crease, there's a lot of lateral movement. Whether you're in the front court or even at the top stumps or as sweeper on either side, you're going to be doing a lot of lateral movement. So groin mobility, adductor mobility, and also strength is very key. You see so many people with groin injuries through indoor cricket because their body's not necessarily conditioned to moving laterally over a course of a tournament. Okay, so what you want to be doing before you start a game is getting your groin to work, you know? So getting your groin to, well, not necessarily a groin, but your adductors to be able to abduct and adduct, right? So that's a way in which you can get your groin ready for what's going to come through the course of your game. So a really easy warm-up to do is just doing lateral side to side, and then you can get a little bit lower as you go. All right, so that way, once again, you're getting your adductors ready for what's to come. Notice that whatever we're doing, we're trying to replicate the intensity, or not necessarily the intensity, but replicate the movements that's going to be used through the course of a game. So the more specific you can be with your movements, the more specific you're going to be with your drills that are going to relate to a game situation, then what's going to end up happening is you're going to be performing a lot better come game day. So indoor cricket it's about momentum, it's about energy, it's about creating a presence, right? So when you're playing indoor cricket, your body language counts for so much, right? So when you're walking into the crease to bat or to take guard, you want to have a presence about you. There's a lot of ways to do that, whether it's how you take your stance, whether it's how you call, right? So it's about body language and creating a presence, because the way I see it, and when you're batting, this strip is my strip. You want to have an intention about everything that you do. So every movement that you do when you're batting, there has to be an intention about it. You want the fielding side to feel your presence, right? So that's what, when you walk through the net to come onto court, what you want to do is you want a body language, having your chest up, thinking positive thoughts, really backing yourself 100%, knowing that when you walk in, I'm going to do well, not hoping you're going to do well, know that you're going to be doing well. And that often comes back to all the work that you've done prior to the game, all the trainings, all the mental visualization, all the drills that you've done. So body language is huge. How you hold yourself, your mindset. If you can change your physiology, if you can stand nice and tall, chest up, nice and proud, what that does is that shifts your mindset. Don't just try and talk yourself into thinking that you're confident. Use your physiology to be able to do that. So if I walk in batting and I'm like this, I look confident. If I walk in like this, pretty easy to see there's a batter that doesn't really back themselves. So body language is massive.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are back in the comm box. We have had some splendid amount of advice given us by the master himself, Victor Davies. We talked about a lot what goes on in the court, but since we're outside the court, let's speak a bit about how your teammates can cheer you on, especially when you're batting, for example, or maybe squad mates who are not playing. We see a lot of noise. It's sometimes even thunderous and even deafening in the comm box when we see a high-octane match, right? Take us through maybe some incidents that, put you over the finishing line just because of the momentum that was given to you by your own squad mates or by the crowd itself.
Yeah, I think it's super important knowing that unfortunately only 8 players can play at once, right, in a side. So whether it's a squad of 12 and there's 4 players that can't take the court, those 4 players are so vital in the success of the team, whether it's in that game or over the course of a tournament. So your job isn't over just because you're not playing. So standing by the side and having the drink bottles ready for your teammates when you're fielding or for the batters. So what we like to do at an international level is the players that aren't playing, they're going to take 2 partnerships. So they're going to have the bottles of 2 batters, right? So they're in charge of those batters. They're going to look after the welfare of those players.
After all of the hydration levels, health and stuff, yeah.
Absolutely, right? So everyone plays a key part in the success of a team. And when we're batting, like I've mentioned before, indoor cricket's about momentum. Indoor cricket's about energy. And when you're standing on the sidelines, it's very easy to see the momentum start to shift in certain moments. There's pivotal moments in a game where you start to see the momentum shift. And even though you might not feel like you're on top, creating the illusion that you might be, or you feel like you are, right? And other teams feel that. So if you've got the rest of your team, when you're batting, there's 2 of you out there, and the rest of your team is cheering for you, even if it's just a single, right? What that does is that slowly wrestles the momentum back. All of a sudden you hit a 2, and your teammates cheer for you. It creates this illusion that you're on top. For a period of time, what tends to happen is the needle starts to shift. And that's what indoor cricket is. It's all about momentum. So bowling got balls, momentum to the bowling side. Being able to get a single or rotate a strike, momentum to the batting side. So it's about the momentum shifts over the course of an indoor cricket game. Obviously a wicket, -5, huge momentum shift to the bowling side. Hit a back net, a 5 or a 7 or a 4, massive shift of momentum to the batting side. Understanding those nuances of indoor cricket, of how we can shift momentum. Every game, ask the question, how can I influence every single ball? So this ball, how can I influence the game? And the ball might not get hit to you, but what can you do? Can I run up to one of my teammates and give them a high five? Can I get behind the bowler? Can I make a bit more noise? Can I get in front of the batter? So you start to ask yourself those questions. How can I influence the game ball by ball? And it doesn't necessarily mean you have to be bowling to do that. What can you do with your body language, with your support, with your energy levels? All those sort of things make a massive difference.
Right. Victor, any closing words for our viewers? And any other topics which you'd like to discuss?
I think the reason you play indoor cricket is because you love it, right?
Yeah, of course.
And you never want to lose that passion. You never want to, and it's so evident here in Dubai, the passion that they play with is incredible. And you're passionate, that's why you play it. You enjoy it, that's why you play it. And you never want to lose that. Regardless of the level that you play, whether you're playing at, Premier level, you're playing at, first class level, or you're playing at international level, the main reason you play is because you enjoy it, and you never want to lose that. Yes, you want to perform at your best, and you do everything you can to perform at your best. But know that sometimes things don't always go according to plan, right? But you've got to put your best foot forward and tick every single box, those little 1%ers, to make sure when you step onto that court, you'll know that you've done everything in your power to be the best you can be. And if everyone's doing that in your team, you put yourself in a pretty good position to win some cricket games. Yeah, I think focus on all the things you can control, because there's a lot of things you can't control in the game of cricket, as we all know. Is that put yourself in the best position to perform at your best and enjoy it, because it's a fantastic sport.
Right, that's the end of the masterclass. We'll thank Victor Davies one last time. And it's almost game time in here in the Rasasi Perfume presents KPL 5.0. We'll head over to live action while you guys can check out this masterclass at any time. Thank you.